We're in Utah. We just had our first grandbaby. Our son just had our first grandbaby. And he's only 2 weeks old. So we were just there.
And they're in Utah?
They're in Utah still. The other two are here. But Parker and Lexi just had the baby, and they named him Cedar after the town where I grew up.
Cedar City.
Mm-hmm. And they gave him the middle name Michael. And I said, wow, is there someone on your side of the family that's Michael? Because nobody on my side that's Michael. And she said, no, we're naming him after Matt, my husband. My husband's middle name is Matt. Or my husband's middle name is Michael.
That's Michael.
And they named him.
Okay, did you just Google it?
Oh, you should have seen him. Because he's never had kids. He's never, and it was so special for him.
Oh, that is wonderful.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, see, that's what it's all about.
It is.
I love.
It is, yeah.
I hate.
I'm going to make a quick swap real quick. I'm just getting a little buzz from this mic for whatever reason.
So John Tucker.
Yeah.
I must find out if I'm related to him.
Great guy, and they live down in Anthem.
They live in I know who he is.
Sorry, not Anthem.
No.
Oh, gosh, what's wrong with my brain? He lives in Ahwatukee.
Okay.
Way south.
The other A. The other A word.
But I will, just Google him. I mean, his son is Cole, the baseball player that's married to Vanessa. He has 2 sons that play professional baseball.
Okay.
The other one's...
I would love to know if I'm related to him because my father is going to be 95 in November. Oh. So we don't, and he does not know a lot about his side of the family. It's weird. I'm able to find his side of the family, but they're not good communicators, Yeah. I mean, I traced him back to the Revolutionary War.
Oh, wow.
Where whatever great-grandfather, I can't count, stood in for a white man to fight.
Wow.
I mean, who are these, right?
Wow.
I didn't even know that was such a thing. So he fought in that man's stead.
Because he was black? Or
I guess because the white guy didn't want to fight, I guess. Wow. I mean, it's the craziest thing I've ever heard of, right? But he did. He fought in his stead.
Amazing.
So my father's side of the family, they are shorter in stature, thin, darker complected.
That sounds about like John. I gotta introduce you.
You must.
Yeah.
You must. Oh man,
sure.
that would really be something.
I'll connect you. That would be serendipitous meeting me and then
just a little bit closer, and then I'm good on my end.
Okay. And I probably shouldn't move around as much, right?
No,
I'm doing this.
You are great. Sorry. You're fine. All right, let me just get one more sound check real quick. We'll start with Eileen.
Hey. Testing.
You're sounding great.
Okay.
Hello, testing.
You are sounding amazing. You have a great audio voice as well.
Oh.
Well, he's a actor person.
So look into some voice acting as well.
Yeah.
A great voice for it. All right, awesome. And then remind me, Eileen, one more time. Do you prefer me to wave your ad break signs, or do you prefer to just throw your ads in when you're ready?
Just let me know, and then I'll take the break, because usually I need to get a little swallow of water or something.
All right, sounds good. Do we need anything else before we get rolling?
Nope, I think we're good.
All right, awesome. All right, let me make sure I'm recording on everything. All right, in 3, 2.
Well, as usual, I am so excited to be broadcasting this wonderful podcast that we have, Lean on Kindness, spreading love and eliminating hate. That is my goal. And today I have a wonderful guest that I met through a very dear friend of mine. So I'm happy to introduce to you Brad Spevak. I have had just 24 hours of getting to know Brandon, and I am thrilled to have Brandon here today. So Brandon, welcome.
Thank you.
And I want to just tell everyone just a teeny bit about what we're going to be discussing today. Brandon is a successful survivor of being abandoned by his church and his family because he is gay. So we're going to be talking about the beginning and not the end, but how it began, where he is now, and how the power of kindness and love will always, always, always overthrow hate. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so thrilled for Katie to be able to see us today.
I know, I can't wait.
So Brandon, tell us a little bit about where you were born and a little bit about your childhood. So we'll start, where were you born?
Born in Salt Lake City, Utah at LDS Hospital.
Well, of course.
I know, right? Iconic.
Where else would it be?
Yes.
And of course at the LDS Hospital,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And how long were you in Salt Lake? Did you spend a lot of time there as a
Lived in
child?
Salt Lake until, ironically enough, I remember it was my baptism, which happens at age 8. So I had just been baptized, and then we moved to Southern Utah. My father got a job in Southern Utah, so we moved to a small town called New Harmony, which is just outside of Cedar City.
Oh, okay. So what do you remember about being a child in Salt Lake City before you moved to Cedar?
I don't remember a lot about Salt Lake, but strangely enough, I do remember about the curiosity of my friends. I remember that we used to get together. One of my friends his dad had a camper, and we would go with this camper and not explore each other's bodies, but like look at each other.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But there was nothing wrong with it.
Right.
We were just like, and I didn't know anything about being gay at that time.
Of course.
But I look back on it now that those are the things that I remember.
Oh, that's
which is interesting because that is who I am to the core. And at that early of an age was already realizing that at some point.
Oh, so that's what happened to help you to realize that.
Yeah.
So do you remember being active in church during that time?
No, I remember being baptized. We were active. We were very active. But I don't recall many memories of that until later in life.
Until later.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do remember my baptism. I remember going to church every week, but I don't recall much more.
Okay. So your parents, of course, active members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in the case that anyone was wondering what church that we were talking about. Tell me a little bit about their background in the church. Were they converts to the church? Did they come from, as they call, pioneer stock? What was their...
They both came from... I would say my mom came from pioneer stock. My dad's parents joined... my dad's mother is a Snow, and is very, Erastus Snow is her great-grandfather, like very, very pioneer stock. My grandfather came from Hungary, and they met when he was he was on the CCCs, which was a program under President Roosevelt, I believe, who sent people from the east, he lived in Ohio, to the west to start building national parks and roads and all those kinds of things. He met my grandmother when she was at a family summertime vacation in Pinto, Utah, and he was out there working. So he converted, and they then of course raised their family in the church. So both very active. My dad was not active when I was younger. I do remember my dad smoking and not active. My mom was trying to hold everything together and be that good Mormon mom, I think. My dad was a truck driver, so that was kind of the stereotypical truck driver guy. But
so do you know if he was if he were Orthodox as a child, and maybe not because his father was a convert, or do you have any idea of what they were?
I don't really know how active they were when he was younger. I know they were members, but I don't remember my grandfather or my grandmother being extremely religious, but later in life they were temple attending and all of that.
Okay, so they kind of grew into it as their marriage grew.
Yeah.
So mom is holding down the fort.
Yep.
Dad is a truck driver. Yep. And how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 2 older sisters. I'm right in the middle, and I have 2 younger brothers.
Oh, okay. So 3 boys, 2 girls. Yep. Mom is getting you to church every Sunday.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay,
I don't think we ever missed. Yeah, it was just something we did.
Something you did.
Yep.
Now, did she work outside of the home?
Yes. She was a sewer. She's a very good seamstress, and she worked at a place that made clothing in West Valley. But I have very few memories of that. She tells me that she was working, but I don't recall her being out of the home like that. Dad was always gone. He was a long haul trucker, so he was gone for long periods of time. So, but I don't remember ever not having mom there, so I'm not sure.
Okay, so it might have been something she did at the house even, right? A lot of people that are in alterations, seamstress and that sort of thing, sometimes they work out of their homes.
Yes.
You moved to Cedar City. It's a little bit warmer in Cedar City for those who don't know the Utah geography, but it's a little bit warmer there. What do you remember about Cedar City as a child, along with your siblings?
So we moved to the town New Harmony first, which is at the time was a town of about 100 people. It was very, very rural, very farm, very not what I was used to. We moved there because that's where my mom was from, and there happened to be an older home there that her great-grandfather lived in that we just moved into because it was free and we could live there.
Oh, wow.
It was this 100-year-old home, and probably one of the most humbling periods of time in my life, but it's also, I remember that period of life being sort of the most transformative for me in my sexuality. That's where I went through puberty. That's where I discovered masturbation. That's where I discovered, all of these things that I was like, my sexual maturity, you might say, and where I realized that there might be a little something different about me. I remember early in New Harmony, my sisters there was this boy who came to town every summer, and he was from California, I think. And my sisters were just, gaga over him because he was very good looking. And I remember this was 1970. I mean, I was born in 70, so this was probably 78 or 79. And back then, you'll recall, we used the word foxy.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Foxy.
Yeah. And that's today's hot for those of you listening that don't know what foxy means. But I remember saying to my sisters, wow, he's really foxy. And immediately one of them said, you can't say that, you faggot. And I was like,
wow.
I didn't know what that meant. I was 9 years old. And back then I couldn't run home to Google. So I ran home to the Britannica encyclopedias that were on the wall and took out the F, looked up faggot to see what that meant, and immediately knew that what I was feeling and who I thought I might be was wrong. That's where the suppression
That's where it came from. So it didn't come so much from the church or hearing it from the church. It was that experience that helped you to understand that
that was the turning point, and then the church started to reiterate that. Once I knew what I was hearing and I'm like, oh yeah, that's me.
So how did that then, when you saw that description in the Britannica, of which I'm kind of surprised that was even in the Britannica already.
Well,
right?
The first description of faggot was a French cigarette. I remember this distinctly. And then this was the second or third, or how there's several different definitions.
Yes.
The second or third said something about a slang term for a homosexual man.
Okay, so when it said the word homosexual, did you even know what that meant?
No, had to go to the
did
H.
not know.
Had to pull the H book off the shelf.
So you got the dictionary out, and then, you're really working through it.
Yeah. It was very, very, thinking back now, I'm like, I was young to be.
So what, how old were you? 8?
9, maybe. Under 10.
After finding out this information, what did you do about it? Because at that point, you felt like something's not right, basically depending on the way that your sister reacted, right?
Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you try to hide whatever you thought that you might be, and how did you do that at such a young age?
Yeah, it was really confusing, as you can imagine. I just knew that whatever I had said was wrong and I couldn't say it. I was also reiterated to the fact that I was not allowed to think that men were beautiful and that I couldn't say that they were foxy. That was not something that it was as if someone had, taken a sword and said, slapped it against my face and said, no, these are the things you can't do. That's how hard it hit me. I was like, oh, no one had ever said that before. And I remember wearing a pink shirt around this same time. I had this pink shirt that I loved. It's funny, you and I were talking about pink earlier. And I wore it for family pictures. We were taking family pictures out in this cornfield one day, and I wore it. And I remember my sisters just laughing at me and saying, you can't wear that pink shirt. And I don't want my sisters to listen to this and go, Brandon, we really weren't that mean. That's just all they knew, and that's the way it was. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I was like, oh, there's another thing I can't do.
So now I can't wear pink.
Right. So all of these things were I just started suppressing them. That's the best way I can describe it. They were still there, but I just started hiding them under different parts of my life.
What I'm finding so interesting about what you're describing is you had no outside influence of whatever being gay would be.
Nope.
All of this was an internal, instinctive behavior that you had.
Absolutely.
Without even knowing why you were behaving in that way.
Absolutely.
So in other words, what I'm hearing you say is this wasn't something you learned, this was something that was within.
Absolutely, 1,000%. There was no way I could have learned it. There was no outside influences at all.
Right. There you were in a cornfield somewhere.
Yeah.
How were you going to learn that?
My access to anything that someone might consider, gay, propaganda or gay pornography or gay whatever, was the Sears catalog that came in the mail. And I remember being drawn to the men's underwear section.
But you wouldn't, no one taught you to be drawn to the men's underwear section.
No. In fact, I was a fashionista even then. I remember picking out a corduroy pants, and it came with this vest. It was so classy. It was 1979, and it was, and I took the catalog to my mom and I said, I have to have this for school. And I remember she bought it for me, and I remember wearing it to school and getting ridiculed and laughed at because it was gay looking. And I never wore it again.
It's so interesting that everybody else seemed to know about gay.
I was pretty sheltered. Pretty sheltered.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about how you continue to move on suppressing this natural feeling.
Okay,
so hang tight.
Okay.
Thank you, honey.
My pleasure. And then I also need a second. I just had, right when you went to break, I had a glitch with the camera.
Oh, okay.
One sec.
Okay.
I thought your lid was on when you spilled it, and then I thought I'll go out, and I was like,
I have this conversation frequently with people. That's why I wanted to delve into it a little bit more about how you can't be taught to be what your sexuality is. And my husband had a brother who is now deceased, who was gay, and he's the one who really helped me to hone in this. Of course, my husband and I now, we've been together for almost 40 years. It's been 38, and he told me when we first met about his brother, and I asked him, of course I have more education now, but at the time I'm like, so how did you know what happened? And he goes, there was nothing distinctive. There wasn't like he just came home one day and said, I'm gay.
yeah.
He just was. He says, that for the lack of explaining it. And we just always knew it. So the kids, when the mom became much more aware, but of course the father had left, that's another story.
Yeah.
But the mom, when he became a teenager, decides, well, I'm going to take him to church. We're going to pray it away. The typical.
Oh yeah, that's always the answer.
And then she also took him to a man that she knew was gay to try to talk him out of being gay. And it's so funny now, And David goes, we're like, how's he going to talk him out of being?
That's like taking an alcoholic to a bar. I mean, honestly.
Come on.
I mean,
come on.
And if that, yeah. Oh.
It was just crazy. He's like, if we just couldn't get her, but she's born in what, I don't know, 1924 or something like that, know.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't get her to understand. He says, and even though at the time it certainly was frowned upon, we knew that there was something wrong with the people who had problems with him.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we just loved him, and we just, it was just no big deal to us.
Unfortunately, not everybody's that lucky.
Oh no!
I mean,
no. Well, even my husband was like that, but there were members of the cousins and the uncles and the, they gave him a hard way to go.
Oh yeah.
And the dad didn't want to have anything to do with him.
Yeah.
He didn't want to have anything to do with any of the kids, but of course, definitely not him.
For sure.
And it was the mom's fault.
That scenario that he was too close to his mom.
Too close.
Too much
spoiled
of a mama's
him.
boy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to.
I don't know if you know what. Oh gosh, the name has just escaped me. The LGBTQ in Salt Lake house that they built in Ogden. Now there's one in Salt Lake, in Provo. Oh my heavens! Love Loud is the foundation that Encircle. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I haven't.
You should do some research on it. They opened, I don't know, probably 10 years ago. The very first one is in Provo, and it sits literally right
in Provo. They opened the first one,
and it's right across the street from the old Provo Temple, the one that they just redid downtown, the older one. And literally from the window upstairs, you can look out, and it's exactly at the same level as the ancient Mormon, and it's like right there. So it's actually, I volunteered there for a long time. It was when it was first coming out. I was like, I need to get involved in the community. I need to make a difference. And it was so crazy to me that it's basically a safe house. It's a place for people to come, get resources, to learn, not just the kids that are dealing with it, but the parents too. Like a parent's like,
Of
hey,
course.
the kid just came out as trans. What do
I
I do?
don't know what to do.
What do I say?
Absolutely.
But what was crazy to me is, I'd be there working my volunteership, and we'd be baking cookies in the kitchen with kids that, didn't have families that wanted them, whatever. A kid would show up on the doorstep with a garbage bag and his backpack, and his parents had just said, and he had just come out to them, and they said, "You're no longer welcome here." He had nowhere to go, standing there. It was just crazy to me. I'm like, how is it that he was okay as your son 10 minutes ago? And he tells you this, and now you kick him out of your house?
We have to have that discussion on this podcast when we get to that place.
Okay.
I'll tell you when.
Okay.
Because that's exactly what my dream is to avoid.
Yeah.
And that stuff's got to stop.
It has to.
It happened to one of my daughter's girlfriends, and
Yeah.
how's it going? Is that
Good.
it? Okay.
Back up and running again. I do just need to bring the mic just a little bit closer to your face again.
Me?
Yes. Awesome.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Your ring is beautiful, by the way.
Oh, thank you. That's what he got me for year 35.
Wow, you deserve that for 35 years.
That's funny.
All right, and then we're ready whenever you're ready to bring us
Okay.
back.
All right, so we're back, and I want to talk a little bit more about the suppression as you continue to move forward. So you're 8, 9, you're in elementary school. What was it like when you start getting into your teenagehood? Now this is the time when you're supposed to like girls, and so how did you get involved in that way to try to hide who you really were?
So for me, it was maybe a little different than most gay men, but I believe so. I was still very attracted to both sexes. So I still felt that girl over there was really beautiful, but I also felt that guy was really beautiful. So how I started to sort of train myself was, Brandon, you see beauty in all people.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what their sex is. But my church tells me that it does matter. And my sisters have told me that it does matter. So I have to figure out how to hide that. I never once was like, that feeling is going to go away. I want to see beauty in those people. It wasn't ever, that's something I need to get rid of, or that I can be fixed, or whatever. That never crossed my mind. So
But you just wanted to live in harmony with your family and with your church.
Yeah.
So you sort of held it back.
Yeah, and I was going to school in Cedar City because that was the closest big town. And, starting middle school was quite an experience because that meant PE, that meant locker rooms, that meant, undressing in front of other people. And I've always had a problem with my weight my whole life. I was a very obese person at one point in my life. And
That's a conversation we had.
Yeah.
You sure would know it.
So it's been something that I've struggled with a lot. And so coupling that with not really knowing what your sexuality is meaning and what you're going through, in that area, we'll just say middle school was a very confusing time for me. I'm a musician. I play the violin and I sing. And so that was real popular in middle school to be that kid.
Yes.
Especially because I was overweight and a little bit of acne and not really sure sexually what I was doing, as far as my identity.
Sure. So you were struggling with your self-esteem and all those things. Yes. So did you start losing weight in high school? No. So you went through your high school years? I went through my
high school years, my college year, my mission, my Mormon mission, and my first when I married my ex-wife, I was 340 pounds.
Oh, wow. All right, so we have some backing up.
Yeah.
That is something.
I got in shape when I turned 40. I decided that I needed to do something.
Well, you're doing a good job, Mr. Brandon.
Thank you.
For sure. Did you date in high school?
Yes. Yeah. Very, very normal, quote, normal dating life. In fact, in the Mormon church, you're not allowed to date until you're 16. So that's sort of the magical age. And I remember I had a girlfriend who was older than me. She was a grade older than me. And so she had a car.
Older woman.
She had a driver's license. And I remember making out with her in her car in front of my house. This is so crazy to me now. And my mom and dad would flip the lights on and off.
Oh, they knew you were making out.
Oh, yeah. So, it was very, very normal. Had many girlfriends, went to all the dances. but it just was never even an option for me to even think about or look. Like, I was looking at guys, but that was it. Like, you didn't.
But never acting on any kind of feeling whatsoever.
No. Or telling anybody or talking about with anybody.
So how did that make you feel that you were suppressing in that way, that you couldn't talk to anybody about it, that you couldn't act out in it? Or did you just accept that just to be a normal thing?
You know what? I think it started at such a young age that it just became normalcy for me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
You have mentioned a lot about your sisters having issues with what they perceived as gay, or thoughts about you, and really suppressing that with you.
Yeah.
You've not mentioned much about your brothers or your father, if there were any conversation with them or feelings from them behind maybe the pink shirt or any of it.
Back then, no. I think the younger brothers were just looking up to an older brother, and I don't think they saw anything different in me, or at least they never verbalized anything. We had a really close relationship both with both brothers. And my dad, when he was around, I do remember having a good relationship with him too. I just don't recall much of him. He was always gone.
Yes, not having any. So you never felt like he had any issues with who you were.
In fact, I mean, we'll probably get to this later, but when I ended up coming out, my dad was probably the most supportive member of my entire family.
That must have meant the world to you.
Yeah.
Because, men can be pretty tough. Fathers can be very tough when it comes to that. So
very. And he did everything that I thought he wouldn't do. He was first to offer to come and help me move when I left my marriage. And when I actually got with my current husband, whom I'm married to now, was the first one to meet him, first one to make him feel comfortable and welcome. And yeah, it was pretty amazing.
That's what love is all about.
Yeah.
Kudos to Dad.
Yeah.
Love you, Dad. So you, at this point, you're dating. As we back up a little bit, you're in high school. You have what would be considered a very normal life. And you were very active in your church. What are some of the things that you're doing?
Oh, man.
In church?
Everything. The Mormon church doesn't let you rest. You are doing something every day of the week. And now I'm older and wiser and look back, I know why and all of that, to keep you indoctrinated and keep you thinking and doing the things that they want you to think and do, and not leave much space for anything else.
So what were some of the things you were doing?
So there's youth activities and groups a couple nights a week. Then there's, hey, you're on this committee and you're on this and this and this. And just, I mean, that's really all that was. And anyone who's Mormon or ex-Mormon listening to this, that your whole social network is your church. And that's just always built in. It's always there. And those are the people that you associate with.
And so I'm sure that the girls that you were dating, they were probably Mormon girls as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. We were discouraged to not date anyone who wasn't, or to date anyone who was not. So yeah, they always were. So. And
you never said no to anything that you were asked to do?
Never. No, never.
Very compliant.
Yeah. I was very, very obedient and very, you're taught in the Mormon church and many other religions that premarital sex is wrong. And I took that to heart, and I was a virgin when I got married. And I come to find out, I was like, what? I'm in the minority here? Like, there's most of these people have already done all this.
Boy, you probably had a lot to learn.
I did. My wedding night was really interesting.
So did you, how old were you when you went on your mission? Did you go to college first? How
I did.
That all work
I went
out?
to one, so graduated high school in 1988 from Cedar City High School. Went to 1 year of college because I'm a September baby. So I got 1 year in before my mission. Your mission.
And now you had to be 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the time I was 19. Although I ended up going just a few months before I turned 19. I'm not sure why, but I was kind of on the younger side. And I got called to Busan, Korea, was where my original mission call was to. And I got to the MTC in Provo and learned Korean for
And tell them what the MTC is.
Oh, I'm sorry. The MTC is the Missionary Training Center. If you're familiar with the Book of Mormon musical, they call it Mission Control Center. But it's the Missionary Training Center in Provo, where all missionaries go to learn, if they're learning the language or how to teach the lessons and all of that stuff. So I learned Korean for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I came down.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks you were ready to get out there?
No, my tenure there would have been 2 months, but after 3 or 4 weeks I got really ill and had a intestinal thing going on. So they changed my mission they didn't dare send me to Korea with that sort of a condition, which now I'm grateful for. I ended up going to Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
And dealt with a lot of Amish folks, and a really interesting couple years in Pennsylvania.
Well, so would you consider yourself a successful missionary in terms of your baptisms and,
you know what?
and all of that? Or?
I look at that so much differently now. When I was Mormon and when I was on my mission, I would have said, yeah, like I baptized a lot of people and I was a great missionary. But now I almost feel guilt for that. I almost feel guilt for teaching those people the things I taught them that I now know are not true.
But you did at the time what you thought was.
Yes, absolutely.
And so as a result, you were baptizing, right?
Yeah.
You were baptizing the Amish?
I never converted an Amish person. We got close, really close once.
Wow.
But no.
That would be something, because they're just as strict in their thoughts and beliefs, right?
Probably even more. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. So you served 2 years in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
You didn't feel bad about the fact that you ended up being stateside versus going, because I know some missionaries have issues with that.
Not at all. And I love having that little bit of Korean in my back pocket whenever I need it. So.
Yeah, that's great. You come home, and what was the primary thing that you needed to do when you got home?
So
what was most important?
I sat in my mission president's office right before I was to be released, and he sat across the table just like this from me and said, Elder Spevak, you will be going home, and within 6 months, you need to be married.
Within 6 months?
Within 6 months, you need to be married in the temple. And I didn't have a girlfriend before I left, anybody I was serious with. And I was thinking to myself, I've got to meet somebody and get married within 6 months. And guess what? I did.
Okay, so let me just back up just a little bit. This is a mandate? Is this just something that he thought was best for you to do? Is it doctrine?
It's not doctrine, but I've talked to hundreds of other missionaries who were told the same thing. So I don't know where it comes from, if it's just directive that mission presidents are given to give to missionaries, but it is something that many missionaries are told.
So it is for real, and you're doing it.
Yes.
He said that, and then you replied,
Yes, sir.
okay. Yes, sir. End of story. It doesn't matter that I don't know anybody that I'd marry today.
Right. Strict obedience. I just finished 2 years of strict obedience, and you are very, very conditioned to not say no, as you said earlier.
Well, and I was going to say, coming right off of the mission, you're really into it at that point.
Oh yeah.
And so you're going to do everything that you say.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that when you've been in a situation like that with the mission, you come back gung ho.
Oh yeah.
You've been doing that for 2 years, and you're just going to do everything that you're quote supposed to do.
So much so that you feel weird around your family. You feel weird around normal people because they're not like that. They haven't been doing what you've been doing. So there's a real adjustment period when you come home from your mission.
Oh,
yeah.
Just to be what would be considered normal.
Yeah, just to fit back in normal. Because
Yeah.
people didn't even want to be around me because they're like, calm down, dude. Like, you don't need to tell me about the church. I'm already Mormon.
Been that way for a long time. But you're super duper Mormon at this point.
Yeah.
You say, yes, sir, and off you go to find a wife. How did you do that?
Well, I started college right when I got back, which would have been my second year. And I remember seeing a girl. I told you I'm a musician, so I was in choir class. And this girl walked in, and I was like, oh, wow. Like, she is amazingly beautiful, really beautiful. Now, keep in mind, I'm over 300 pounds at this time. So I'm wearing sweatpants and the biggest sweatshirt I can find to try and hide my body, thinking no one's attracted to me, and no one would be. But this girl walks in, and she had this long, beautiful brown hair and curly. And ironically, she walked in the room with a guy holding his hand, and he was just as beautiful as she was. I remember being attracted to both of them.
Wow.
And thinking, oh my gosh. But again, that suppression kicked in, and I was like, okay, I can only be attracted to her. Anyway, she ended up being my wife.
No way.
Yeah. So
so was she the first person that you saw that kind of fit the bill, or had you seen a few?
I had dated a few others,
Mm-hmm.
but she was the first one that I was like, yeah, this could be it. And what's really scary about it, she was only 18 at the time. And I look back on that now and go, oh, what in the hell was I thinking?
What? And you were how old, 20?
Barely 21. Yeah. Yeah.
That's craziness. So you get married.
Yes.
Tell me, and you had children. I mean, did you have children right away? I would imagine that's probably another thing, right? You get married and then you start your family right
It's
away.
a mandate. Yeah, it's sort of a mandate to start populating the earth, procreating and helping to populate the earth. Luckily, we had some struggles in getting pregnant, which I look back on now and go, that was really
A blessing,
great that
yeah.
happened, because we needed to get to know each other. We
Sure.
didn't even know each other.
I mean, so you were married within that 6-month period in the temple, Salt Lake Temple?
Manti.
Manti.
Yeah. Yeah, November of 1992, we got married. And our first child came along in 96. So it took us a few years, which was good.
So you had your first, how many children did you end up with
I
altogether?
have 3 total. I have a daughter and then 2 sons.
2 sons. So what were you doing in this time of being married? Were you working? Was your wife working? What was your life like? And what was going on in your head about you being attracted to men as well?
I remember early on in my marriage just putting it so far back in my brain or so far under that stack that I really didn't think about it a lot. I was trying to get through school. I was taking 21 credit hours. I was working 4 or 5 different part-time jobs, just trying to make everything work.
And being active in the church.
And being active in church with multiple callings. Yeah. So.
And callings, explain to those who don't know.
Callings in the church are sort of assignments that you are supposedly it's divinely inspired that you are to be serving in this position. The church, everyone in the church serves free. You don't get paid. So, for instance, they might call you and say, "Hey, we'd like you to be president over the young men's organization," which is So.
Okay, and you did several. Always doing a calling. Never not without calling.
Oh no, never. Actually, I don't remember a time when I only had one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
With doing all that work, so you suppress it all in the back of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
What started happening? I mean, what was the turning point, and where in your marriage did things sort of start to, I would imagine, breaking down in your marriage, but also bringing to the forefront the fact that you are attracted to men?
Yeah, in a way, I hope my ex-wife hears this podcast, because her and I have not discussed a lot of this. She doesn't know what I'm about to tell you. I've never told her. So let's see. I remember on my mission, sorry, I'm backing up a minute. I remember on my mission being attracted to a couple of my companions. And what that means is you're assigned to a person that you live with, and that's who you serve with. And you are with them for anywhere from 2 to 6 months at a time. And there were a couple of them that I was like, wow, he's really attractive, and this is kind of hard for me to live with him. Well, one of my companions enjoyed going to a magazine store. Now keep in mind, this is 1989, so, no internet, no whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this bookstore and missionaries aren't really supposed to do things like that. We're in our suits and
Sure.
the whole thing. But I remember going to this bookstore, and he would, one time we got a little bit separated, which you're also not supposed to do. You're not supposed to be out of each other's sight. He went around a corner to read a book, and I was standing next to the magazines, and there was a male, I don't know if it was Playgirl or whatever it was,
Oh,
but
wow.
a male
A male.
magazine
Mm-hmm.
that I picked up and looked at. And that was one of the first times that I had ever seen anything like that. And here I am on my Mormon mission, right? So I think for me, that kind of was a turning point. It sticks out in my mind that pornography might be a way for me to sort of compartmentalize this and deal with this attraction that I had without ever having
to really be it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, pornography was only available in stores like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you couldn't,
No
it's
internet.
not as easy as it is now. So anyway, so then fast forward to my marriage. I remember the first time we got the internet, it was dial-up. For those of you listening who don't know what that
You
is.
got mail.
You like literally,
Yes.
it's connecting, and then you hope you get it connected. And I remember actually viewing a pornography site, not long after I was married. on AOL or whatever that was, and thinking, oh yeah, this is how I'm going to deal with this. Pornography didn't become a problem for me. It just was sort of one of those things that I was like,
kind of an outlet for you.
It was an outlet, and it was also something that it made me feel not so alone. I'm like, oh, there's men who have sex with men. I've never seen that before. Wow, okay, great. I'm not crazy for thinking this, I was so
almost
naive.
like validated even.
Yeah. I was so naive about a lot of things, and so not, in the church doesn't teach you anything about being gay. The church will teach you about having same-sex attraction, which I think in their mind sort of minimizes that, because being gay is so bad and such a sin and so irreparable that same-sex attraction is just this condition that can be fixed. So they never really ever say gay or teach you to say gay. And I remember when I was starting to come out to people, I couldn't even say the word gay. Like, it was so hard for me to even say, because I had never been taught that,
Right. So you now are married, and you need to talk to your wife. And how long had you been married before you started to think that maybe I need to either move on from this marriage, or I need to come out with my wife? I mean, how did you do it?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question, because actually I never felt that way until the very end. That was
after how long of being married?
We were married 23 years. There were other factors. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus here, but there were other factors in our marriage. It wasn't just my sexuality.
Okay. Yeah.
But there were other things happening that I just decided I needed to separate.
To move forward.
Yeah, and it really wasn't driven by my sexuality. It was a byproduct of that, but. At that time, when we did separate, I had already experimented with men and had gone through, periods of time where I traveled a lot for work. So it was really easy for me to be one person on the road, and another person when I came home.
Sure.
And not proud of that, but that's just the reality of what it was. And
the reality of trying to be somebody who you weren't.
And living a double life. I literally was living a double life for years. And
that had to be
exhausting and terrifying.
Just the thought of it.
And you are around every corner, someone's going to find out, and then I lose everything. And
sure,
yeah.
Cheating is cheating.
Yeah, but here's the crazy part of it, and I would normally say a bad word here, but I won't. My messed up mind justified at that point in time in my life that I wasn't cheating on my wife.
Oh.
I was not. She couldn't give me what I was after, so I wasn't cheating on her.
Isn't it something how we could do that?
It's so crazy.
Yes, we could do that. We could justify doing things that we shouldn't be doing because we want to do it.
Right, yeah. I know now that was delusional, but yes. Yes.
We're going to take a quick break, and we are going to talk about, okay, now Brandon is gay. End of story. Done. Okay? All right. Did your wife get married again?
Twice. She's still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. It's got to be hard for her. Especially because you said there were other issues. So whatever her other issues were.
She's mentally ill. She's bipolar.
Oh, okay.
So it was always a struggle, and always something that I never felt like I could really share with her. Even if I did want to come out to her, I didn't feel like I could, because I didn't know how that was going to. She was so out of balance. And
that's a whole nother story, mental illness. That's another story.
I'm still dealing with unpacking a lot of that shit. But so I really felt, I didn't come out to her until after I think I told you this last night, until after I came out to the kids, which was after we'd separated. So she didn't know. I think there were times when she suspected things. She would say things to other people that were kind of weird, and then they would come to me and go, "Why would Janet ask me this?" And I'm like, "Oh." And I mean, I'm not discounting. Women are smart. Wives are smart. They know. Even if they don't know what's going on, they know something's going on.
Yeah. But to what extent?
Right.
Is another thing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back, and now you have you're a gay man.
Yes.
And you're married.
Yes. To a woman.
To a woman. Yes, yes. And you have 3 children.
Yes.
At this point, you've done every calling in the church. I think that I remember you saying even the bishopric.
Yes, and a temple worker. So
And a temple
for those
worker.
of you who know what that means.
Yes. So you worked in the temple, the most sacred place of all. You were working in there.
Yeah.
You're deciding that you're tired of this double life. And so you came out. Who did you go to your wife first? How did you come out?
So there was a sort of a small group of men in Salt Lake that I had become friends with who were in the same situation as I was. We sort of bonded. It became a sexual outlet. It became a therapy group. It became just friends who understood. And which was interesting also because we were all married to women.
Were you all Mormon?
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't ever. So the reason I tell you that is because the people who knew me in that life knew I was gay, but it was also understood that you don't tell anybody. So it was very underground. It was I wasn't out to anyone other than those people. I didn't have a lot of gay friends. I wasn't hanging out at the gay clubs, like any of that stuff. Then I think I told you I was traveling for work. I started meeting people on the road, started communicating with people on the road, which, I don't know, I guess opened my eyes a little bit more to what I was missing out on. That sounds bad because I don't want to...
You just wanted to be who you were.
Yeah, and I don't want to discount my marriage at all. I was in love with my wife. We had a really good marriage for most of those years. 3 beautiful kids that are my life. And so I don't want to discount that at all. But at the same time, when I got a glimpse of what sex with a man was like, or what sitting with a man at a table, having a glass of wine, holding his hand was like, then I thought, it was very almost familiar to me and felt very right. And I thought, yeah, what I'm doing and where I'm at is not where I'm supposed to be.
Right. You shared the information with your children?
Yeah, that happened organically. I ended up coming out to each one of them separately.
And how old were they?
I think they were 14, 16, and 18. I could be off on that a little bit, but Lauren, my daughter, was the oldest at the time, and she was the first that I told. Her and I went on a daddy-daughter date one night, and I took her to get a pedicure. And later I told her, if you didn't know I was gay, you knew I was gay when I took you to get a pedicure. And anyway, so we got home, and I hadn't really planned to tell her. And it just felt, I got a very strong feeling that it was time to tell her. And I hadn't told anybody, ever. I should probably also say that I, at this point, already met Matt, who is my current husband. And we had started a very informal, romantic, not kind of dating, I guess we were dating at the time. Anyway, so me and Lauren are sitting there, and I start getting red, and my heart's racing. And I said, Lauren, I have to tell you something. And she said, oh my God, Dad, do you have cancer? Are you dying? Like, she thought something was horribly wrong. And I said, no, but this is the hardest thing I've ever told anybody. And I'm telling like one of the people that mean the very most to me. So I told her, and I had prepared myself for my children to totally turn their backs on me. I thought that it would have been completely understandable for them. To say, nope, you've been lying to us. You've been lying to Mom. And that's not okay. So I was prepared for that. But I probably should have never thought that about my kids because they were so good and so the opposite of what I expected. Excuse me. Lauren said to me, Dad, I love you so much more than I did 10 minutes ago.
Oh, what a relief for you.
Yeah.
That is my dream for every person that comes out, that would be the response that they would get from their families.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that is not.
No.
I'm so glad it was your kids, though, because that would be just the most important, right? Your kids.
It was.
What about your family? What about your sisters and your brothers? The church?
Yeah.
How?
It's interesting how it happened. I ended up coming out to my wife about a week after I had come out to all the kids. Excuse me. And it actually was a sort of an accident. We were talking about something else, and she said something derogatory using that F word that I had said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, Brandon, it's time to tell her. And I said, yeah, you know what, you're right. I am gay. And so that processed into, she said, I'm going to out you to everybody. I'm going to tell everybody. I'm calling the bishop. I'm calling your parents. I'm calling your siblings. And of course, I left that conversation in a panic, called Matt and said, what am I going to do? And he said, you have to call your family.
You have to do it before she did it.
You have to call them. So I spent that entire day. I have 4 siblings that I had to talk to, and my mom and dad. My mom and dad happened to be in separate places that day, so I talked to them separately.
And you told us about your dad, which is fantastic.
My dad, yeah,
was great.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah,
and initially, so was my mom.
Yes.
And initially, so were all my siblings, but it was their initial reaction, and I believe it was sincere. It was their initial reaction to say, Brandon, you're still our brother and we love you.
Yes.
Right? But after some of them, not all of them, after some of them thought about it for a while, thought about the church's teachings, thought about the things that they're supposed to say in this kind of a situation, those conversations turned a little bit darker and uglier for some time.
So they were led to treat you unkindly because of what they had been taught by the church, not necessarily what they intuitively felt.
Yeah, I don't believe that any of my siblings or my parents are mean-spirited or would ever hate anyone for really any reason. But when you're trained and groomed and indoctrinated with something for your entire life, then when that finally comes to you and is on your doorstep, that's how you react to it, how you've been trained and groomed, even though your heart might be telling you something else.
Yes, yes.
And I believe that all of their hearts knew me, just as my kids when I told my kids, they all knew my heart, they all knew who I was. They just because I was gay didn't change any of that.
Sure.
So I believe that my parents actually, and my siblings were the same way. It just gets clouded when you're in this year being taught all of these things that I now know are baloney, but at the same time, your heart's over here telling you, this is your brother.
This is your child.
This is your child.
And they're also concerned about your salvation based on what they have learned.
Oh, yes.
So that's a very real thing to them. The whole being sealed together. Now what happens to Brandon? He won't be with the family. There's a lot of issues that make it difficult for them to relate to.
I have to tell you, I felt guilt about that for a very long time because I felt like I was the one responsible for breaking up our eternal family, which is what the Mormon Church teaches. And when you think about it, it's, everyone's saying, oh, the Mormon Church is so great for families and teaches such family values. Well, yeah, that's great, but
you just broke up my family.
When you teach that somebody who does something that is considered a sin or whatever, that might jeopardize the entire family, that's not really bringing families together. That's breaking families apart.
Yes. So with that, then what I would want to know, oh my goodness, Brandon, we could have a whole other episode.
Yes, we could.
But what I would want to know is, first of all, how are you now with your family? The kids never went anywhere.
Nope. The kids left the marriage with me.
Okay.
If that tells you anything.
Yes, it does tell me a lot.
Yeah.
You raised your kids, they loved you no matter what, and they're with you. And that is incredible. Yeah. That is incredible. And it shouldn't even be incredible. It should just be what it is. But I just happen to know that this doesn't happen for a lot of families.
Right.
Did the other part of your family, siblings, and so forth, did they finally accept who you were? They're not worried about your salvation or anything like that? Or are we still working on that?
Yeah. So to answer your first part of the question, how am I now? I am. I'm no longer a religious person. Never will belong to an organized religion ever again. But I am probably more of a spiritual person than I've ever been. So I feel like I am in a very, very good place in life, probably the best place I've ever been in. I have a husband who loves me for who I am. I have a husband who supports me. I have a husband who thinks that I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I have children who love me. I have just been blessed with my first grandchild. I'm in a really, really great place.
And I would imagine you have friends as well, right? You don't have people who are judging you because of who you are and you're living an authentic life.
Absolutely. And it's been amazing to watch, after coming out, the people who no longer want to be your friends or just disappear into the woodwork and you never hear from them again.
Sure.
It's been very interesting to watch that process. There's been a core group that have said, this doesn't change anything.
You're still Brandon.
Like, that's who you are, and we love you. And I'm a super social person. Anyone who knows me, if anyone's listening who does know me, Katie, if you're listening, you know this about me. I will talk to anyone. In fact, me and my husband were in Hawaii last week, and we were sitting on the beach when we found out we had a new grandbaby. And I got up from that chair and went around and told everybody on that beach and showed them a picture of my new grandbaby. That's who I am. Yeah. So,
well, one of the things that that I want to close with is, I can imagine that going through all of this, there are a couple things that have happened for you. One is, I bet there was some resentment towards the church. How have you resolved that? First thing.
Okay.
And then I want to talk just a little bit about what you've done to help gay youth, and then we'll close from there. So,
okay. So how I've sort of got through, when you leave a religion that you were born into and you gave everything to, hundreds of thousands of dollars, all of your time, all of your resources, like everything, it's all you knew. When that comes crashing down and you are betrayed by that organization, which is exactly how I felt. I felt like I was
because they wanted nothing to do with you.
I was listed in their handbook as the same as murderers and pedophiles just because of my sexuality, and also that my children were going to be penalized for being my child.
They couldn't be baptized and would have to disavow you. That was the 2015 ban.
Yes.
They reversed it in 2019, but still.
That's because they lost so many people because of it.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's I went through a period of extreme anger. And when I say extreme anger, I mean extreme anger. And it lasted for far too long and took up way too much of who I am and what I stand for. But I believe it was a process I had to go through.
And now you're on the other side.
On the other side, I have had to go through. I love the name of your podcast, and I love everything that you stand for, because the transformation from hate to love needs to happen more often. Doesn't happen enough, but when it does, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And for me, I had to go through all that really, really dark hate, betrayal, all of those feelings, which were not popular with my family. It wasn't an easy time in my marriage. Like, it consumed me. But now that I'm on the other side, I'm not gonna lie, there's a little bit of that anger still there, but certainly nothing that consumes me every day like it did. So it
feels so much better to be on that side.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Like, I can think about other things.
Absolutely.
I can enjoy life.
Get on with life.
Things.
Absolutely.
And I apologize, I forget the second part of your question.
The second question is, which I think is so important, is after you came out and start being able to live your life, you helped gay youth in I can't remember the name of the place, but this is so important, and I want to close with this because this is what some of our gay youth have to go through. There is no reason for this to happen. We have got to do better.
We have got to do better as society, and I'm calling on, I hope someone from the Mormon Church is listening to this. There's a group in Salt Lake called Encircle, and it is for lack of a better word, a safe house for LGBTQ youth and parents. It's an educational resource. It's a place for people to go when they have nowhere else to go. And I volunteered there for a few years, mainly because I needed I had a strong need to give back. I needed to help. I had resources to do so. So I really wanted to make a difference. So I started volunteering in Provo at that house, and I was shocked the first time that a 14-year-old, the first time a 14-year-old showed up on the porch with his garbage bag of everything that everything he owned, because he had just told his parents that he was gay, and they told him to leave. They told him to get out. Thank God we had something like that. There were so many kids who came there that didn't have a place to go, who didn't understand what was happening, and why don't my parents love me like they did 10 minutes ago? I don't understand.
I mean, that they could go from loving them so much to hating them so much within a 10 minutes of time, and you got a garbage bag full of clothes, you're out.
And all in the name of religion. All in the name of something that goes against everything that Jesus must have really
I can't even imagine that Jesus would have ever had one.
No, he wouldn't have. And the thing to remember in all of this is, if you are gay or trans or whatever you are, that's how God made you. And if you believe in God, great. If you don't, great. But you were created by something, and you were created because you are beautiful, and that's how you should be. Don't let anybody tell you any different. I waited 40 years to figure that out. I wish I had those 40 years back, but I'm wiser because of it.
You are wiser, and you're doing such great things, Brandon, and we appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
So much. Tell us the name of the place in Salt Lake and Provo.
Yeah, that's called the Encircle House.
The Encircle House.
They now have a home in St. George, Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo. They're also in association with the Love Loud Festival, which is Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons, which I'm also involved with. They do a concert every year. He's also a Mormon / ex-Mormon who's fighting the fight of there's too many LGBTQ youth in the Mormon church that are dying because they're killing themselves.
So I am asking everybody who is listening to this podcast, if they know of someone that needs help like this, or they could help and volunteer, to please get in touch with the Encircle House.
Yes.
And find out what it is that you can do to volunteer and to help. And while I am not an expert in this particular field, of religion, where people would say, it says this in the Bible, or it says that in the Bible. There's such interpretation that needs to be had. I'm not an expert in any of that.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not here to even point to anything that is said in the Bible about being gay. What I am saying is that every single human being on this planet deserves to feel valued. They deserve love. There is no reason whatsoever that they should ever feel hate. That is not how we as human beings should act. And as I've said before, we have to do better. Let's do better.
Let's do better.
You are awesome, Mr. Brandon. I can't wait. We have so much to chit-chat about when we do this podcast. So thank you so much for coming.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate you.
I do have a blog too. I was maybe going to mention if
Sure.
anyone wants to check it out.
Sure.
If you're Mormon or ex-Mormon, you'll actually understand the name of my blog, but it's I'd like to bear my testimony.com. And that's a common phrase in the Mormon church when you get up in sacrament meeting and you tell your testimony.
Sure.
I started the blog after I came out because I felt like that was truly my first real testimony. And it's a place where I've invited other people to share their stories too. And it could be helpful, I think, for a lot of people. So
Okay, you guys heard it here. And you see how awesome Mr. Brandon is. So go there. Tell us again.
I'd like to bear my testimony.com.
.com. Okay, go there. And when you're going there on your way, remember, it's kind to be kind.
Yes.
So be kind.
Be kind.
Be kind.
Awesome.
That was great.
Thank you. You too. You're a good host.
Oh, thank you.
I've never done this before.
No? You did fantastic. You'd never know it.